what's going on? This video will just be revisiting Wriothesley. We're finally getting him again on a rerun in a new banner soon. And in this video, I'm just going to be revisiting him. We're going to be seeing if he's still good or not at this point in the game. His potential future, should you wish for him or not, and stuff like that. So yeah, starting off as a refresher on how Wriothesley is played. He's probably one of the very simple characters to play. His kit does have a couple of stuff that you need to take into account, but in general, he's pretty simple to play. You just need to like auto attack, and then when you have your charge attack ready, you can just charge attack and that's it. Depending on what constellation you have him, your charge attack either needs you to just lose HP or do like 5 normal attacks, or you need to be like below 60% HP for you to get his enhanced charge attack. But yeah, either way, in general, you just want to make sure your normal attacking, and then when your enhanced charge attack is ready, you just want to use it, and it's going to be a quick nuke. When your elemental burst is ready, you can just use it, obviously, and that's pretty much how Wriothesley is played. It's just like an on-field, normal charge attack, main DPS, and that's about it. Talking about his strengths, the first one's obviously just going to be good damage. Even at this point in the game, he's not in the best position. We're going to talk more about that in a little bit, but his damage is still holding up pretty well against the top DPSs. He can definitely clear anything, and he's definitely going to be like a top 10 DPS in the game right now. He's also going to be pretty easy to play. At the end of the day, you just need to normal attack and then charge attack when you have it ready. Use your elemental burst, and that's pretty much it. You don't really have to do too much. You just need to understand his kit and how it works. But once you do, his playstyle is actually pretty simple. The final strength about Wriothesley, I think, is going to be his self-sustain and flexible teams. Wriothesley can heal himself, and he can do a lot of stuff for himself. He doesn't really need actual supports. Depending on the constellation, that can be argued, but in general, he doesn't really need characters to function. As long as you have a healer, if you have him C0, and if you have him C1, you don't even really need a healer in the team. You just play Wriothesley, normal attack, charge attack, burst, and that's pretty much it. He can also change his own HP, so you don't need like to take damage and stuff like that. Or he can also heal himself, lower his HP himself, and stuff like that. So everything about his kit can be triggered by himself. That makes for very flexible teams for him. As I said before, he doesn't really need anyone to function. Any teammates or supports are just gonna be there to like support him and enhance him, but he doesn't really need the very specific types of teams to function. Now, moving on to his constellations value, we're not going to go through all of his constellations or anything like that. I'm just going to be talking about if you have Wriothesley already in his current banner, which constellations you should go for more. I would say the only constellation that this applies to is going to be C1. As I explained before, it's going to allow you to not play him with a healer, because in that case, you don't need the HP condition to trigger your charge attacks, which are going to be important parts of your damage. So it's going to open up even more teams, and it's going to make him even more flexible and comfortable to play. And it's going to make his damage more consistent in a way. I think that's pretty much the only constellation that I would say, you know, changes him and gives him better value. So if you have him C0 now and you really like him and still like him, I would say going for C1 is definitely going to be worth it for Wriothesley. Other than that, C2, C4, C6 and stuff like that, all of them are going to add damage to him, but I really don't think any of them is going to be like a necessary constellation. It's just normal constellations. They add value and stuff like that, but I wouldn't really say go for them. They're just decent, you know. But C1, I'd say if you have C0 and you still like him, going for C1 is going to be a good thing to have on Wriothesley, that's for sure. Now, moving on to the most important part about this video, in my opinion, are going to be Wriothesley's current problems. Those are going to be the current problems he has in the game right now. I think he has a couple of problems of his own right now. Mainly, I think he doesn't have resistance to interruption, so you either need a shielder or know how to dodge. And without C1, he might be a little bit harder to play, but it's not undoable. Those are going to be small problems for Wriothesley himself, but I do think he has many bigger problems, but they're not Wriothesley specific problems. I think he just inherits these problems from being a cryo character. Those are more of like cryo problems right now in the game, and Wriothesley being a cryo DPS obviously is going to inherit them. These cryo problems, I would list them simply as enemy design, which is the biggest problem in my opinion right now. In competitive game modes like the Abyss and stuff like that, the enemy design is just not made for cryo. Cryo teams are in general either melt teams or freeze teams, and with the current enemies right now, you just simply cannot freeze most of them because they're either too big and stuff like that. Freeze teams are just not going to work. So half of the cryo teams in the game are just not going to be as good. And this is a big disadvantage for cryo. The second thing is that we just simply haven't seen any new like revolutions in the cryo reactions or element and stuff like that. We have many cryo reactions that are still like pretty much useless, like superconducts and stuff like that. And we haven't really seen any characters that can take advantage of them. With other elements, we definitely did see a couple of other reactions that were like kind of dead, like burn-in, for example, at the beginning of the game and stuff like that. That that came alive with the introduction of new characters that bring them to the meta, like Emily or Kenish and stuff like that. But with Cryo has been dead for a long while now. It's been the same since the beginning of the game. No new supports that can amplify Cryo, no new artifacts, no nothing pretty much. It's just been the same. It's still not bad, it's still very usable, but it lacks revolution in a way. So yeah, those are Cryo problems. Even though Wriothesley is the best Cryo DPS we have in the game right now, he is still going to be limited by them due to the fact that he's just simply a Cryo DPS. He's still Cryo, so he's going to have Cryo problems. Now finally moving on to the final part of this video, which is Wriothesley's future value. So the main thing is that all of the Cryo problems I talked about just right now are, in my opinion, almost guaranteed to be solved next year. With the introduction of the new regions, Nizhneya, and the Cryo Archon, we will probably see Cryo flourish and be in the meta again, whether it's with the enemies, the introduction of like being able to take advantage of many more Cryo reactions, more Cryo supports, whether they're Cryo or they support Cryo main DPSs, and so on and so on. The next year will be the region of Cryo. This year, as I said before, we had the region of Pyro, for example, and we saw a lot of Pyro characters and Pyro reactions just flourish, like Burnin, for example, and stuff like that. Next year will be the Cryo turn. That's almost guaranteed. We've seen this many times in the game before. Since Wriothesley is the best Cryo DPS right now, he's definitely at least going to be one of the best Cryo main DPSs even next year. That means Wriothesley's value is guaranteed to be increased by next year, hopefully. I mean, his value is not even that bad in the meta right now, but I'm saying with the rise of Cryo meta, Wriothesley is definitely going to be more valuable at least a little bit next year. So his future is going to be bright. That's what I'm saying. With the introduction of the new Cryo meta, hopefully, Wriothesley is guaranteed to still be relevant in the next year. So yeah, I do think getting Wriothesley right now, mainly if you like him, is definitely not a bad choice. He's still a decent DPS right now. Pretty good. He can clear pretty much everything. And next year, his value is definitely guaranteed to increase with the new Cryo meta. So yeah, that's what I think about Wriothesley at the moment. Tell me what you guys think. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.